Right. No, you good? You? No, you can't. No, you good. All right, we're in the book of Matthew, 24th chapter. Hopefully you've been reading.
Amen. Study.
Matthew 24. We did 1 through 8 last time. We're going to do 9 through 14 today. Once you find it, please stand for the reading. Everybody there?
Amen.
All right. Reading from the New King James. Then they will deliver you up to tribulation and kill you, and you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake. And then many will be offended, will betray one another, and will hate one another. Then many false prophets will rise up and deceive many. And because lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold. But he who endures to the end shall be saved. And the gospel of the kingdom will be preached to all the world as a witness to all nations, and then the end will come. Amen. You may be seated. All right, last time we introduced this particular chapter to everyone, and we talked about don't be troubled. This is actually the second part of what Jesus was saying about the time period between his first advent and his second advent. Now, that word advent is adventure, his first adventure into the earth, when he became in the person of the Son of God, and he came as the Lamb, led to be sacrificed. Now, in his second advent, which has not happened yet, the second time that he's going to come all the way to the earth, he won't be coming as a lamb. Please understand this. There's a looking back that a lot of people do, and then they get confused and they look forward, thinking that he's going to come as a judge. All right, so when he comes as a judge, it's not a pretty sight. All right, so he's coming to judge. Now, we're looking at the time period between both of those advents, and he's given us all of these signs that we will see in the world, and he says, this is just the beginning of sorrows. Now he's going to shift gears in verse 9, and he's going to deal with what you and I will have to contend with while we are here on this earth between those advents. He's dealing with the disciples and the church and what's going to go on with us specifically. So that first part had to deal with the world. This part is dealing with us. I really want you to pay close attention to this part because hopefully after last week you understood why we don't have to be troubled.
Amen. Yes.
Right? While when we see all of these things, there's no reason. We should be celebrating. No reason to be troubled. This time I want to talk about don't be troubled, be informed.
Amen.
One of the best ways to handle what's going on is to know that it's going to happen and that it's coming and that this is what we're going to have to go through. So, because little Jazz was going into the military, and I was thinking about that this week, and I was thinking it's little Jazz. She's little, and so I'm like, she's going into the military, and I have this great admiration for people that are willing to do that. The military is not something that you just arbitrarily say, hey, I think I'm going to go join something. No, it's the military, right? And anyone that does that, I have a great deal of respect for you and for what you are doing. And we have people in this congregation who have been in the military, And you know, thank you for your service. And I just, every time you see someone in uniform, you ought to say that to them. Because they're putting themselves out there. The military, police, firemen, anyone that runs into a burning building, you know, you're not crazy. I have a great deal of admiration for you. But when I was looking and thinking about the military, it's interesting. The military kind of reminded me of the Gospels. 3 of them I call synoptic. There's 3 of them that I look at in one way, and then there's one of them, one of the branches, that when I look at it, you not only have to be special, you really have to be special in here and up here to go into this one branch. Now this branch has a motto. It's Semper Fi. It means always faithful. But their first motto was first to fight. And they still go by that. Now I just said something, some of y'all didn't catch it.
Yeah.
See, the Marines were actually created in 1775 to go from ship to ship. So when one ship went to battle with another ship to do the boarding, it was the Marines that went over in the other ship first. Now I don't know about you, but when anytime you go into somebody else's stuff, that means that the bullets are flying at who? You. And their mission hasn't changed. Whenever someone has to go into battle, guess who goes first? It's the Marines. Yeah, going in talking about hoorah. You have to be a special individual to join something knowing quite well that Marines, I hate to put it this way, but it's the truth, but Marines are actually supposed to die. They're the first ones in. The Army is what we call the occupiers. It's not that they don't fight, but when the Marines go in and clear it up, here comes the Army. But those Marines, what kind of a person does it take to be a Marine? Well, if I look at it from a Christian perspective, looking at this particular section that we're looking at, the disciples had to be the Marines because they had to go first. This is who Jesus sent first. Now, we're the Army. We're going to come in and occupy what they have done. But we will have to deal with what they had to deal with. See, because all of them were killed, except for one. But he had to spend the rest of his life, at the end of his life, out on the Isle of Patmos, having visions about the end of the world. What a way to go. So when I look here, we have these, it's actually 4 disciples that Jesus is talking to in this. But I want you to look at what he tells them. So after he tells them that this is just the beginning of sorrows, you don't have to worry about all of the things you see. Don't worry about these earthquakes, wars, rumors of wars, nation rising against nation, pestilence, all of that. Don't worry about famine, all of those things in the world. And he says here, he says, then, notice in verse 9, then. Now when you see then, don't think of then as like, this is in sequence. This is cynicism. It's like Jesus says, if you think that was bad, though, let me deal with you and what you're going to have to go through. Every time he says then, it's like he's saying, wait, before you start pondering what I just told you, let me tell you this part. It's almost like he's saying, if you think that was bad, watch this. Now, he said, don't be what? Troubled. But you need to be informed about what you signed up for. Because I think that a lot of us have done a disservice to our brothers and sisters in Christ if we haven't told them the truth. I think sometimes we even do a disservice when we go out and we witness to people. We tell them everything is rosy when you become a Christian. Jesus would say, where are you getting that from? Did I ever say it was going to be rosy? No, I said something completely different. So here's what he says. He says, then they will deliver you up to tribulation and kill you. Now, if you go to Mark's gospel, Mark covers the same thing and Luke does. You have to put them all together to get a complete picture. But in Mark's gospel, it's delivered up to councils. And what Matthew is saying here is that you are delivered, or literally in the Greek, you are handed into tribulation. In other words, tribulation will have control of you. Y'all know what tribulation is? That means you're going to have a hard time of it. Mark uses the term counsels, meaning that what you're going to do, people are not going to like, and they're going to take you before councils.